Yo, what's up, everybody? Okay, I muted everyone. So, what's up? Welcome to another guided meditation. I took a lot of time before. Sometimes these meditations, I'm sure, are really short as recordings because I talk so much before. And oftentimes I'm like stalling for the first like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we get into it, and then I can't stop talking. Um, what we're gonna do today is work on clairaudience, and this whole little like chapter and exploration that we've been doing, I've called it clear perception. And we started with clairvoyance just because I thought it'd be like really cool and like sexy, and like people always ask about this shit. So I was like, all right, let me actually share my approach to clairvoyance. And then we work on claircognizance, which to me is like the bread and butter, most important, like has the most weight in like the spirit world. And I talk trash. I hope y'all know. I think it's important, but like I'll take someone with claircognizance like over somebody with clairvoyance a thousand times over. Because just because you can see doesn't mean you can impact that thing. And it also doesn't mean that we have the capacity to like to hold the weight of the vision, hold the weight of what is needed and asked of us. But with someone with cognizance, right, like oftentimes if we have that intuitive space, if we have the ability to get those clear answers, then we can also like gather the momentum and the motivation and the commitment to like follow through. And I'll say like overwhelmingly, I see claircognizance and like capacity to go hand in hand. Because clairvoyance, we can still question it, and obviously we do question our intuitive hits, right? But when that intuitive hit is like really clean, oftentimes like there's no not listening, right? Like you're gonna listen, and even if you choose not to, right? Like you already got the intuitive hit, right? Clairvoyance, maybe another analogy is like it's like a dream, and you might have a really like badass important dream, but if you don't write it down, I forget them. Like I wake up and I'm like running, I'm like underwater, and I'm like in a spaceship, and then this thing happens, and then I wake up and I'm like, I'm thirsty, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool, and I forget the dream, right? And then like a week later, somebody shares something, and then I'm like, oh my god, that dream I had, right? um Oftentimes clairvoyance I have seen, in my experience for myself, right? Keep it outside of your aura. I'm not let my shit talking be in my bubble only. You don't have to take that on. um but I've just seen that clairvoyance, right? It's like a mirage, it's like a dream. And it's hard for it to have a lot of weight. With clairaudience, I've noticed almost the opposite, right? It's not as sexy, certainly doesn't sound as cool. I don't see many people posting how awesome their clairaudience is on Instagram, right? Nor in like movies, right? I think in movies we see like, the psychic with the crystal ball, and they touch it and they're like, ugh, and they have the vision, right? And you're like, damn, that's what energy work is, right? I think with clairaudience, it's almost the opposite. If you are clairaudiently hearing shit, you're probably more likely to shut it down than to like think you're really cool, right? Um, I often have people that are clairvoyant not have good boundaries, right? Where they're just like popping into people's field and like, like I imagine they're like rifling through their aura. They're like, "Ooh, what's over here?" They're like, "Oh my god, wow!" Right? Like it's just shitty boundaries with like some amount of sensitivity. While clairaudience, again, overwhelmingly, I don't see people, clairaudiently like putting, when you put I don't know if y'all did this, but in Mexico, you'd put a cup against the wall to hear um the neighbors, right? You're like, oh my god, what are they saying, right? I don't ever see anyone have like clairaudient, cups on someone's aura to try to be getting at information. I Again, I think if you came in with that gift of clairaudience, at some point you probably shut it down because it was like it can be overwhelming, right? So, and of course, I'm taking like broad strokes and I'm trying to be funny and silly to give us a place to start from. But with clairaudience, what I was sharing before I hit the recording was, in my opinion, there's less filtering, right? If I'm clairvoyantly looking at something, I'm going to see images. Oftentimes those images can be for that person or they can be for myself. And it takes some precision to like ask. So I might, again, if I see a fire, I might ask the question of, what does fire represent to this person? To me, fire represents transformation, but for them, fire might represent something really scary, right? But with clairaudience, I'm going to hear information that oftentimes is going to like answer questions that I'm asking, right? So if I'm like, how can I help this person? And I get the answer of like, they have gifts. And it might just be that, they have gifts, 3 words. 3 words, okay, nice. Just make sure. And that, if they're wanting my help, if this is a session, right, then I'm going to start from that place, from that information. I might also clarify like who I'm receiving that information from. So I might ask like, who's speaking? And they might be like, their guides. And I'm like, cool, their guides are telling me they have gifts. And then I might ask the question of like, how can I help open those gifts? And then again, I might see or hear or just intuit those next steps. And so that's, for me, how I want to relate to these senses, right? Is that they help me engage what is next, how I can be supportive, how I can engage what's next for me, right? So I'm like, if I'm sitting at my altar and I'm like bored and I'm like trying to meditate, right? I can ask my guides to sit around me and I can ask them like, what would be the most like skillful way to spend this next 30 minutes? Like, how can I use this time to best contribute to my healing? And I'm going to show y'all how to do stuff, but we can like open our like clairaudience and then just listen to see like, what do y'all think would be the most efficient way or supportive way or like, beneficial way to spend this time? And I can open to hear. They might say again, sometimes I don't know about y'all, but sometimes my guys throw shade and they're like, do your shadow work. They might tell me to work with my mom, right? They might tell me to sit quietly. Oftentimes my guys would tell me to like, stop doing so much. I'm like, well, what else? I'm like, what would be a cool class to take? And they're like, they're like, that's the problem. We're asking you to not take classes. I'm like, I'm gonna try to find a class on how to not take classes anymore. Right. And I'm like, still not listening. But in that way, skills and capacities that can be overwhelming, we use them with precision so that they help us get the next step. And in some of my classes I've shared, if I was to ask the question of like, what chords are in this person's aura, you're literally gonna see like 1,000 chords. Or literally it just overwhelms your senses and you can't tune into it. So if I was to ask, what does humanity need to heal? I'm just like, I'm just like flooded, like, ah. Right. But if I'm like, with my skill set and right now, right, I'm December 27th, 2021, right? I'm like, how can I best support humanity? Right. And if I open to receiving an answer, I might allow myself to clairvoyantly see it. And it's like me, damn it, it's me resting. I'm like, shit. Right. It's me taking a lunch break. So I'm like, okay, I don't like that read. Then I'm like, intuitively, I feel like some energies in my like low back that I can work with to heal. But if I open to clairaudiently, I can start to hear certain things that I could do that would be very beneficial. And again, the way that I'm asking the question refines and like clarifies and organizes and makes it bite-sized, so that the clairaudient message that I receive is like this. Versus if we just open our clairaudience randomly, you're gonna be flooded, like changing the radio station, with all kinds of conversations happening in and out of time, and conversations that we participated in other lifetimes, and conversations that have been happening, for a long time. So if that makes sense, now what we're going to do, right? So this is how I like to engage my work. I like to ask for my gifts to open to the amount that helps me like help more people and helps me like be the best expression of myself. Because any more doesn't help, right? And then also sometimes, if I choose not to open them because I'm afraid, then it can keep me from like stepping into what is next. So we're gonna, like we've done in the past, start with really like dropping into our why. What are the questions that I have? What are the things that I'm exploring? What are the things that I want help with? And then asking that request open the space to hear answers. When we work that way, then the things that we open will open within our capacity, will open in a way that helps us, and then will open in a way that like we can use. And you could, right? Like, I think again, because these things sound sexy, right? People all the time are like, I'm going to do clairvoyance. And they're just like going really hard and like unlocking these capacities. And like, it can really quickly get overwhelming, and this is the example that I share a lot, right? Like, you don't have to be clairvoyant or claircognizant or like clairaudient to know that there's a lot of suffering in the world. And opening our senses will often just open our ability to have less filters to see, of course the beauty, but of course also like the tremendous pain that exists in our human experience, and like the incredible harm that humans do to each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, like we're like little jerks, like most of the time. Well, hopefully a little bit less than half of the time, but a lot of the time, right? We're like little jerks. So clairaudience, without being reined in, will remove filters that almost like, let's say, are layers of protection that we build up to just be human. And being a human is hard enough. Being like, having no layers of filters between us and others is kind of not as fun. But if you're trained, then it helps us help people. So I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna just check comments real quick. So yeah, and exactly, we're gonna tap into our gifts in the way that helps us help people. So it's precise. And then if you help come up with clarifying questions. We're gonna do it. I'm sharing. So, do you experience hearing clear? And then Kathleen's question, so asking like, will you actually hear them or will you hear it like internally? I'll say both. Probably first you'll hear it internally. Like with clairvoyance, oftentimes it's like an inner seeing versus like a physical seeing. But you can physically see some shit. It's probably not helpful to try to see some shit, is what I'm trying to say, right? So like, it will happen. What I'm saying is like, we're gonna only open the capacities that will help us engage our inner work with more precision. And I think, again, clairaudience for clairaudience's sake, to me, is a burden. Truly, like I don't want to hear everyone's thoughts in and out of time. I don't want to hear shit happening outside of the fucking planet in other places and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's probably not cool stuff. I'm sure, again, I'm sure some of it will be cool, right? But what I do want to have is the ability to ask my guides questions and to hear them answer. That shit would be dope, right? To be able to ask the question of like, again, what will help me heal my heart? And then they're like, let it break sometimes, bro. You know, I'm like, I'm like, okay. You know, and I'm like, I'm gonna shut my Clairaudience down now, right? I'm like, no more Clairaudience for today, right? Again, or like, how can I be a better friend? And then they're like, again, specific. How can I be a better son, a better partner, right? And then they're specific, and I have a space to hear. Again, like kicking the door open to my Clairaudience so that it's like wildly out of control and I'm hearing things all the time would, to me, again, suck. So that's what we're doing, if that makes sense. So then the inner hearing or outer hearing, it can be both, right? But I'm saying more important is, how can I ask the right questions? How can I make sure those questions are coming from authentic places? And how can I refine my asking so that when I open to hearing, I'm hearing things that will help me, right? And again, and it's refined, it's precise. Yeah, anyways, I'm talking a lot. So we're just gonna jump in. So we're gonna start by tuning into our group container. And we're going to imagine that we're all here in this beautiful bubble. And this beautiful energy bubble has earth and universal energies supporting it. And just imagine that your guides, vaster guidance, gets put in charge of calling on the energies that are going to make this be just a really supportive, a really healing space. We're going to open gifts and capacities that are ours, that have always been ours. Good. And then as we call those energies in, we're going to have intentions for our community space. And I love having the intention that this is a space where stuff can come up, where emotions can come up, experiences can come up, and they can be held, they can be loved. I think it's also important that this is a space where I don't have the right answers for you. I have answers that work for me. Those answers hopefully aren't even going to be the same answers for myself a year from now, 10 years from now. So like, I don't believe this shit. I hope you don't believe this shit. Like, this is an exploration. This is meant to be fun. It's meant to like help us create like great meaning. Have like fun ass lives. Do good things. And so similarly, as we're engaging this work, not letting it be like rigid. There we go. Good. Letting there be space for other answers. Good. And then we're going to bring our attention now to our personal aura. And imagine that within this beautiful container, there's our individual aura, like a bubble around us. And we're going to refresh our connection to the earth, and we're going to call on all of the really beautiful earth energies that can help us. And we're focusing on clairaudience, and in a bigger way, just clear perception. And as we set that intention, imagine that the earth brings all of the resources necessary to unlock that in a really easy, fun, sweet, comfortable way. And again, the intention that this opens within our capacity in a way that's supportive. Good. And then we're going to put magnets in front of us and behind us, and we're just going to start to clear energies to those magnets. Good. And as we're clearing energies, we're going to have our guides recalling our authentic energies, filling any spaces, any gaps. Good. And then we're just going to tune in to our aura in this moment, and in the middle of the holidays. The new year's around the corner. And oftentimes, winter is like a time where we naturally are reflective and introspective. And just kind of take a moment to get a baseline for, where are you right now? What are you feeling? And then with that little snapshot of today, where we're at, what we're feeling, get a sense for the last month. What did you feel? Where were you this last month? And maybe the last 3 or 4 months. In the last year. And imagine that this last year we put out in front of us. We refresh its connection to the earth so it's nice and grounded out in front of us. And we're asking these questions. And we're probably getting an answer either just clean intuitive or already clairaudiently. And that clairaudience is like, oh, I felt okay. Right? You're just like, it's pretty cool. Right? It was probably us in our voice answering. And if it wasn't, just bring earth energies and support. But we're going to set the intention to get to hear, to get to perceive ourselves more accurately. And so we're going to wash over our whole aura with earth. And wash over our whole aura with healing, nourishing water. Bring the element of fire. That element of fire, we can clear contracts. We can clear and complete karmic energies. Bring the element of wind. And again, with that intention to better perceive ourselves, better work and support our healing, better understand our emotions. Just allow that to gently open crown, third eye, your telepathic channels. I'll talk about that more. The energies around your ears. Just let that gently open. I like to imagine my guides are like cleaning. They're like hella domestic. They're like mopping, clearing dust off of things. There can be energy stuck from other lifetimes. There can be other people's energies. As you guys are gently working this whole area of perception, we're going to thank them. We're going to have them recall our authentic energies, have them continue clearing energies in the background. Perfect. And again, with that intention of we want to better engage our inner world and allowing our commitment to healing be the capacity and like the space that we open. We're going to let that integrate gently, after a time, uploading this information into our Akashic. And then we put out in front of us again that little intuitive check of like, where am I today, this week, this month, last few months, this year. And now we're just gonna hear. You can come in as an intuitive knowing, but you're gonna just let yourself hear. How can you best support healing this last year? And that was question one. Maybe another question could be, what were the lessons you were learning this year? You can often repeat back what you hear to confirm it. And if nothing's coming through, just be patient. We're going to do more. Maybe another question would be, how can we best integrate the lessons we were learning this year? And we're going to think that information and we're going to refresh our connection to the earth. We're going to clear our energy with magnets. We're going to have our guides recall our authentic energies. And we're just going to start to work this last year with some of that information that we got. And if you didn't get information, that's totally cool. But we're going to start with washing over that last year with earth. Imagining that those earth energies are clearing whatever's heavy, whatever's stuck, whatever's blocked. I'm going to bring the element of water, allowing all this softness, all this healing. We'll bring the element of fire, allowing for these energies to transmute, clearing contracts, clearing karma. Bring the element of wind. And that question that we asked first of what would be the most healing, either you got an answer or you can just see if there's, now that we cleared things, an answer. But this last year knows what it needs, and let that last year call on the earth and universal energies that would support it. And then we ask the question of what lessons were we learning? And the same thing, see if you already received an answer, you can clarify. If you didn't get an answer, you can check again. In this last year, what were the things I was learning or being invited to learn? And then once again, we're just going to open to allowing those lessons to be offered to our Akashic, allowing those lessons to integrate at that vaster level. And the last question I invited was, what would help that last year integrate or complete? And again, just double check if there's an answer there. And of course, you can ask whatever questions you have. If anything comes to mind. And then we're going to have that last year call on the earth and universal energies that would support its integration and support its completion. As those energies are coming in, and let that gently evolve our timeline. And let that evolve aspects of our essence, aspects of our soul. And let that evolve our ability to ask, our ability to open to what is next. And let that evolve the commitment and motivation that we can like organize and direct towards our healing. We're going to put magnets in front of us and behind us and just clear any inauthentic energies, anything stuck, blocked, anything that would limit all these beautiful energies that we're calling on. And then all these beautiful energies that we've mobilized, allow them to be like what qualifies us to open our crown, our third eye, and our clairaudience. And again, it's open within your capacity. And we let that kind of open outside of time. And then as you're kind of asking from that really deep place, let that support you in healing. As that supports you in healing, let that open even more space to ask. And once again, we're going to offer that back in time, forward in time. And let that gently evolve the timeline that you're connected to. Good. And then we're going to take this clairaudience out for a spin. So we're going to refresh our connection to the earth. We're going to gently allow, again, our crown, our third eye, but our whole like telepathic channels, our telepathic system, aka our clairaudience system. Just imagine that you gently allow it to open. And then we're going to invite our guides to sit in front of us. And you can have one guide sit in front of you. You can have a couple chairs out. We're going to have them sit there. And once again, we're going to just allow however much wants to be cleared and released, however many filters want to be cleared and released. Again, according to our capacity in this moment. And we're going to gently allow that distance between us and them and the filters between us and them to release into the earth. And then with our clairaudience open, just say hi. And then just see if you hear anything. And we're gonna really thank them for all of the work that they've been doing behind the scenes. And we're going to ask if there's anything that we can offer our guides that they like. And sometimes I'll get answers, and sometimes I'll put out a couple options. Like I can offer flowers, I can offer light, I can offer different colors. But whatever you intuitively get or hear, imagine that you call on those earth and universal energies to offer them. So if I hear flowers, I can offer a very beautiful flower to my guide, or I can offer a whole sky filled with flowers. And then as we make that offering, we can ask if there's any messages that they have for us. And if you're getting answers that are blurry, you can imagine like you kind of like change the radio station a little bit to get on that right channel. Or you can change the volume if it's like too quiet. Sometimes like I'll hear lots of voices and I'll like put myself with my guide in a sound chamber. So it's just one person speaking. Right. So just let yourself kind of get creative. Weird things happen. Sometimes it sounds like they're underwater. And you can just make like a little air bubble. So you can still be underwater with them, but you can hear them crystal clear. Good. And then one more time, we're going to thank our guide. And just let them release to wherever it would be fun for them to hang. We're going to put magnets in front of us and behind us and start clearing energies again. We're going to refresh our connection to the earth. We're going to have our guides recall our authentic energies. We open our crown and third eye a couple of times and just kind of bookmark the size, the color, the quality of energy there. Kind of just ask your inner wisdom to see like, is that necessary right now? And if you're going to transition to something else, if you're going to drive and talk to friends, right? They probably don't need to be super open. So you can just allow your crown and third eye to close. Or like, I can imagine like you're lowering the volume to the amount that would be supportive for whatever you're up to. Already bookmarking that you can turn it back on at this level. One more time, we're going to thank our guides. We're going to upload any lessons into our Akashic. One more time, we can offer those lessons back in time, forward in time. We'll let that refresh and reset our energy centers. Because we opened these really big, just seeing what other centers want to be like opened or closed with the amount that would be appropriate. And then there's all kinds of little matching pictures that we can clear. So just start sending out like pictures, matching pictures with each other. We'll wash our flows with earth, water, fire, wind. Bring golden cosmic energies to complete those. We'll bring out the sparkles, and then let the earth energies come up and just validate the healing work that we did today. And validate that, like, this isn't free, right? Like, our commitment to healing is how we qualify to open these capacities. And so just celebrate, like, your commitment to healing yourself, to contributing to the healing of others. And that's like super fucking rare. And let the earth validate that. You celebrate and validate that. Good. And we're going to consciously individuate. So just imagine that we recall our energies from everyone else's space. And then you give everyone their energies back. And we'll do that a couple times. I'm going to do that really consciously and intentionally. And then if anything I shared, any of the strong opinions I have, let them stay outside of your aura. And even the things that I said that are cool, that you like maybe are aligned with you, let your guides translate that information and have it be like aligned with your purpose, your lived experiences. And again, one more time, recall your authentic energies. Give other people their energies back. Thanks. And then this beautiful energetic container that we made, we're going to imagine that we like collect it and we let those earth and universal energies contribute in energies that we don't even know to call on. And that we can offer this container out so that anyone, anywhere who wants to open their Clairaudience so that they can heal, who wants like support in their healing work, support in their ability to help others, that this like energy can be available for them. So it'll be that much easier to do this work, right? A lot less stumbling than we did to get here. Perfect. And that container can continue to grow and evolve and support humanity the way that it helped us. And then we'll bring out the sparkles. Now that we're individuated and out of the container, you can refresh your connection to the earth. And boom. And boom. What's up? Yeah, comments, questions with the meditation that we did. It's pretty cool. Anyone here? Hear things smooth? Thank you. It's okay too if you didn't. You're just like, I don't know. It got weird. It was super vivid and loud. Good. Okay. So clear. Damn. Heard the whole conversation. Damn. Okay. I was going to couples counseling with my guys. This is one of the visceral ones. Oh man. All right. I'm impressed. It was quiet for me. Grateful. Yeah, that's good. Just shifting my eyes, ears. Okay, cool. Felt some pain in my right ear. That happens sometimes. Yeah. I heard a song and I still have pitch to play wrong. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. My guy said that one orange. Good. Yeah. Karma can get kicked up and contracts can get kicked up. Like Ankita. And so sometimes when we're opening something and we start to feel pain, I often will do one of two things, right? I'll often like kind of chill out, stop, and just kind of ask if there's something that I can do to like more comfortably open this. So so let's say I'll come up with a situation. Let's say I'm like opening these gifts and there's like a pain in like the back of my neck, which sometimes does happen actually. And then like as I'm pushing, right, if I start to feel that pain, then I can stop and ask like, how can I best support this pain that's here? And so with that question, I might, again, if maybe I'm not getting a claircognite hit, I'm not getting a clairaudient hit, I can ask, would it be supportive to clear karma? And if I get the intuitive yes, then I'm just going to start there, right? Or maybe I might be like, are there stuck energies that would be helpful to work by clearing pictures? And again, if I ask those questions, often I'll get an intuitive yes or no. And I don't want to get too into like kind of like technical energy work shit, but there's other techniques, but that's one option. The other option, right? So again, pump the brakes, ask questions. The other options is I can ask the thing I'm opening if it can help me with the thing that's keeping me from opening it, if that makes sense. All right. So it's like, because by opening my clairaudience, it's kicking up this pain. I'm going to ask the clairaudience if it can help me with the pain. And oftentimes they can almost go hand in hand. I kind of think of it as like, like a positive number and a negative number. You can bring them together and they make like a neutral, like a zero. And it works sometimes. I think you do have to have some like claircognizance online, like you have to have that like intuitive knowing that you can like kind of double check that feels aligned. So anyways, those are kind of some fun things to think about and hope that helps. Intense energy from a guide, low muffled tones, some clear woods. That's awesome. That's dope, Carmen. I had a lot of discomfort in my body when trying to open the channels. Yeah, and so very reverent. Tonight is and then that's all stuff to bookmark, right? Like if in the process of opening something, you're like, I don't know why, but like I felt shoulder pain or something in my mid back, that could be something to tune into and then just like kind of like a homework assignment work on. I always have things I'm working on, like literally perpetually, forever and ever. I'm like, I heal my first energy center and I'm like, oh, I wonder how much healing I could bring in for my second energy center. And then I'm like in my heart and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can heal my heart in other lifetimes, right? Like I'm just like always asking. And then once I do all of that work at my heart, I'm like, I wonder if that can help me open more of my first energy center. And my first energy center is like, yeah, let's go again. Right. Like, and I don't know if that ever goes away. I don't want it to ever go away, but I like having projects that I just kind of keep putting kind of like consistent effort, because there's the acute thing and then there's like the lessons that are there. And then, through engagement, it can become a practice. And maybe this isn't a good example, but it's like, I have to like run to catch the bus and I'm like, oh man, I'm so out of shape. And then there's like, I get a little in shape so I can run to the bus and not like be out of breath. And then there's like I run every day because it helps me feel healthy. And they're not the same, right? Like, so there's like my first energy center is like, bro, you need to heal me or I'm gonna explode, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, let me help you out, right? And then there's like I do enough work for my energy center, my first energy to like feel good enough to like sustain me throughout my terrible 9 to 5 life, right? The weight of the matrix on my first energy center. And then there's like the daily practice of like, I attune to my first energy center, offer it healing and energies, and then see what size it wants to be, what color, what shape. I see what it needs, and it just continues to blossom, right? And again, I hope that makes sense, but they're not the same. And sometimes people think kind of putting out fires is the same as like a daily practice of engaging a center. And I would say, if that analogy makes sense, it's not, because being forced to run and realizing, this is me talking for myself, that I'm like been on the couch too long, right, is different than like I choose to run because it helps me feel really good in my body, right? They got, for me, very different energies, right? Like the wow, I shouldn't have ate all those Cheez-Its, and like, damn, I spent a lot of time in bed this last week, right? Is different than like, um, I f- I feel a really deep connection to my body and to health and vitality and fun when I run. And in this, with the same analogy, right? Like, oftentimes when we find blocks, it's that they're like screaming for our attention, and we can engage our energy centers. And often, and I'll be very specific, right? It's by refreshing the earth energies. So, my first energy center runs different when I'm at work compared to when I'm driving, to when I'm playing, sports with my friends, to when I'm hanging out, to when I'm reading, right? And health and vitality comes to my first energy center when I attune to it and at the let it be in the right relationship with the earth and myself that it wants to be in, right? That would be running every day, because it's fun, is me being like, how do you want to run today? First energy center, and it's just like blue. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm about to read a book. How do you want to run? And it's just like, ooh. And it wants to close, right? And I'm like, all right, I train martial arts. I'm like, I'm going to train martial arts. And my center's like, ooh. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm about to kick ass with the open, flowing first energy center, right? And that is me running every day. That's a long ass story. I hope it helps. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna keep checking comments. No, I'm going into a separate room with my guide. Oh, good. Yeah. And a lot of times, for me, I'm like kind of relentless, and I refuse. If I ask a question, I'm gonna make sure I hear an answer. And if it's like, and I'm like, are you underwater? And they're like, and I hear bubbles. And I'm like, bro, like, come on, get out of the underwater scene. Come on. I'm gonna bring them up to the surface. And if they're talking in another language, I'm gonna Google translate that shit. I'm gonna have them write me a letter if they can't speak, so I get creative. And I think engagement and creativity and curiosity will continue to help us open that clairaudience. Okay, cool. I'm glad it's making sense. So, and again, that's just stuff that works for me. It's just my answers. I hope they help. They don't have to be your answers. In fact, like, I'm pretty sure they're not going to be answers that work for everyone, but this is stuff that's going to help us like get to our own answers, and then continue to get the new answers that are up and coming and arising. But I did want to say, so the next 2 weeks I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be traveling. After that, we're gonna come back. We'll kind of like work on this like clairaudience a little bit more, and maybe we'll do clairsentience if folks are interested in stuff like that. But we'll definitely spend a few weeks like taking all these different skills and techniques and weaving them together. In these Monday meditations, I talk a lot. I'm trying to talk a little bit less. But just so that like we're all like really clear, like the things I'm sharing, like y'all, they like deepen, and we could spend years, and I literally have gone to teachers for years. One teacher in particular, I've gone to them for 3 years, one-on-one sessions every week, because like all they do is clairvoyance. And I think clairvoyance is kind of lame, but these motherfuckers have those teachings. So I'm gonna get those teachings from them because they have them, and they're vital and important and necessary. I don't think they have as much weight as other things, but I'm gonna learn them. Um, and so just to say, like, we're doing this, but hit it, explore. There's so much that these things can open and share and create. And again, a lot of it is just like asking and like being qualified for the thing that you're asking for. And if you ask things that you're not qualified to receive, then often like no one's gonna answer, right? So like if no one's answering, then ask like, what can I do to get the answer? Right? What can I do to like bring myself closer to healing? And if they're like, heal your mom shit, I'm like, cool. How do I heal my mom shit? What's the first step? What's the most important step? What am I avoiding? You know what I'm saying? I asked my girlfriend, I've asked my ex-girlfriends, right? Like, I'm like, what's the thing that I'm avoiding that I really need to look at? And I'm like there with like a pen and paper, right? And then and if people think you can hang, they'll tell you. They're like, you think you're better than other people. And I'm like, ugh. Like, ah. it's too much, right? Um, yeah, and like if we ask those things, then like we can get answers that have their fucking weight in gold, like are precious beyond measure because they contribute to our healing so much. So I hope this stuff makes sense. I hope it's helpful for y'all. This is it's super helpful for me. Um, but like I said, I'll see y'all in 2 weeks. So I'll catch y'all next year. All right, y'all. Bye.